على سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه وسلم. سبحان الله بحمده سبحان الله العظيم. سبحان الله بحمده سبحان الله العظيم. سبحان الله بحمده سبحان الله العظيم. مدد يا Allah. Inshallah, we will continue today with the Life After Life series. Today, inshallah, we'll be talking about the Yawmul Jaza, the Day of Judgment. The day that everybody would be held accountable for how they lived their life and how they behaved and the choices they made. And in that day, there will be nothing but justice. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just and He has promised justice for all of us in that day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْءٌ وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ صدق الله العظيم. On that day, no soul will be wronged in the least, and you will be recompensed only for what you used to do. Verse number 54, Surah Yasin. Everyone will be judged according to the beliefs they live by and the books of their deed. La ilaha illallah. My dear brothers and sisters and children, we need to remember that we are all going to face that day. That we will be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in judgment. And every single choice, every single deed that we did in this life will be brought to life, will be brought to for us to face. There is no way out of it. First of all, now, let me explain something. If you read about the day of judgment, the Yawmul Jaza, in Quran, in Ahadith, and in the books, lots and lots has been written about this. Al-Quran is full of verses about this day. Ahadith, there are many, many ahadith about this day. And ulama have written books about exactly what's going to happen on that day when people will be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in judgment. The sequencing of event, nobody knows. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the sequencing of the events, like what's going to happen first, what's going to happen next. But some ulama have mentioned some sequences as to how things will go. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remind everyone of His blessings and favors and how those blessings and favors were utilized by us. SubhanAllah, if each one of us look at ourselves, the very first blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have, the top one, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought us in this world in a believer's family that He gave us Islam. This is the topmost blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. Because Wallahu alam, if we were born in a non-Muslim family, in a Hindu family, in a Christian family, in a Jewish family, there was no guarantee that we would have come to Islam. There's no guarantee. But without any efforts, without anything that we have done, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us in His mercy to brought us into this world in a Muslim family.
It's not really have our
Subhanallah bihamdihi subhanallah. Ibn Masud radiallahu anhu reported, peace and blessings be upon him, the son of Adam will not be dismissed from his Lord on the day of resurrection until he is questioned about 5 things. Mashhur hadith. His life and how he lived it. His youth and how he expended. And his wealth and how he earned it and how he spent it. And how he acted upon his knowledge. Let's look at these questions. Everybody will be asked these questions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran about how one lived his life on earth. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have created mankind and jinkind for nothing but to worship me, to serve me. This would be the first question. This is what I had created you for. And I had blessed you with the knowledge of this before you were sent to this earth. And I had taken a covenant from you before I sent you to this earth. And you all agreed that I'm your Lord and I'm your creator. And then I sent prophets for you to remind you. And I had set books of guidance for you to remind you and to tell you how to live your life. What did you do with it? What did you do with it? What did you do with the covenant you made with me? With the agreement you made with me that I am your Lord, I'm your creator, and then the knowledge that you had that you'll all come back to me. What did you do with it? This is the time that we should ask these questions to ourselves. We have at least, Alhamdulillah, being Muslims, we know that we had made this agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He is our Lord. And then we are to live in submission to His will. How am I living my life? What is my life, my daily life busy with? In my daily life, am I cognizant? Am I aware of what is this day I'm living for? What are my efforts in this day for? What am I running after in this day? Is it all for dunya? Is it all for material gains? It is all for making money? It is all for looking after the better things in life? Is this what I'm spending my life with all the time? Because that would be the question that will be asked. The second question, how one utilized his youth. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in one hadith, الشباب شعبة من الجنون والنساء حبالة الشيطان. Youth is a branch of madness. Youth is a branch of madness, and women are the ropes of shaitan. Now, some scholars have questioned about the authenticity of this hadith. Some have said it's gharib, some had classified it as Hasan. Nevertheless, the meaning is really true. The meaning of the hadith is really true. Youth indeed is a branch of madness. Why? Because a youth is always looking to want to be doing something like everybody's doing. They have life coming, they are growing up, they have these desires, they want to have everything, everything is so attractive. And I want it, and I want it, and I want this too. How come I can't have it? And how come he has it? And those desires are so strong that they can't think rationally, which is what madness is all about. What is madness all about? Madness is all about not being to think rationally, not being to worry about the consequences. I want it, and I want it now. I don't care about after. That's what madness is all about. That question will be asked. How did you spend your youth? What did you do with that time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given you health and all kinds of opportunities in front of you? How did you spend that life? Your strength, etc. The third question, how one earned his wealth and how we spent it. Allah mentioned in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَأَخَذَهُمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ مِنْهُ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. And for their taking of usury, while they had been forbidden from it, and their consuming of the people's wealth unjustly, we have prepared for the disbelievers among them a painful punishment. So Allah had warned us that if you are going to earn your money from haram ways, from forbidden ways, then you will have to pay the consequences for it. Allah also mentioned in the Quran that everything that I have blessed you with in this dunya is not all for you. It is for your needs, and whatever is left over after meeting your needs is for others. Now remember, this is such an important thing to understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken upon himself to provide for everyone. But how does he provide? How does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide for everyone? Obviously, we know that he's not sending angels to everyone to feed them and to give them money. We know that. So how has he providing for others? Through us. He's providing for others through us. He's given some more and some less. And the ones that he's given more, he told them, it's not all for you. It is for you to make your needs and then to distribute, give it, move it forward. The whole system of zakah has been placed just for that purpose. So that people just don't sit on their wealth and accumulate it and not worry about those who don't have it, whose needs cannot be met. Something to seriously think about. This day, if we look at around the world, everybody is so preoccupied in making more and more and more and more. And everybody is worried about how am I going to meet my needs. Everybody wants to make the best of the opportunities. A few days ago, I was talking to a patient, and she said, Dr. Sahab, I am suffering from this feeling that I'm missing out on things. I'm suffering from this feeling that I'm missing out on these things. And I said, explain it to me. Like, what are you missing out on? She's a very highly educated person. She has a very good job, very highly paid job. And I said, what do you mean you're missing out? That you have a feeling that you're missing out. She said, I'm going to give you an example. She said, we bought a house for investment. We had money left over. We had money that we have saved, and we bought a house for investment. And we sold it, and we made good profit from it. And I thought, this is the time to do it more so that we don't miss out on this opportunity. So that we don't miss out on this opportunity to make more money. So I made a decision, and I made a poor decision. I bought a house at a very high cost, and then the market went down. And we lost lots of money. And I feel that I'm missing out on all these opportunities. What happened? I was at my job for 7 years. An opportunity for promotion came, and I so wanted it. I didn't want to miss out on this. And I didn't get it. So I said to her, so what you're telling me is that you are never content with what you have. Am I right? You are never content with what you have. If you're never content and grateful for what you have, you will be only feeling missing out the rest of your life and wanting more. Am I right? You know how many of us live in this, I don't want to miss out? Honestly, man, that is a socho. How many of us live on this thing, I don't want to miss out? This missing out is very, very cleverly placed by shaitan as well. Some people do a lot of good things and they don't want to miss out on any opportunity to do good things. And yet, not missing out on doing a good thing, they ignore the other obligations they have. I'm going to go out in the Jama'ah, I'm going to go out and do all the dawah work. I'm going to do, I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. And yet they miss out their obligations at home. This is how shaitan deceives us. Allah has placed obligations upon us for everything, and we have to balance it all. If we don't balance all these obligations, we are going to fall short here or there. So, all the wealth that we have, Allah has said, and give those people who give their wealth in spite of the love for it to their relatives, orphans, needy, travelers, and whoever asks for help. And they don't waste it. They don't waste the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is not just about wealth as well. It's about every blessing that Allah has given you. The knowledge that I had given you, what did you do with it? Knowledge is a very heavy responsibility as well. Knowledge is also wealth, in a way. It's a great blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teach us? If you know one verse of Quran, convey it to the others. If you know one verse of Quran, convey it to the others. That is an obligation of knowledge. And Allah will ask us, what did you do with that knowledge? And no excuses, no lies will work at that time. We find in the hadith that about the wealth, for example, is that when Allah would ask a person about his wealth and how he earned it and how he spent it, he would say, Ya Allah, I spend so much money in giving donations and in helping people, and I left no opportunity that I didn't make big donations. And he probably would have. But Allah would say, because Allah knows the intentions. We can deceive ourselves with our own intentions, but Allah knows the intentions. Allah would say to him, yes, you did all of that. But you did all of that for the purpose that people would talk about how generous you are. And that happened. You got your reward for people giving you the respect for being generous. There's nothing for you here. What does it tell? This narration of Rasulullah that mentioned, what does that tell us? Even in doing good deeds, make sure your intentions are right. Make sure that your intentions are right, because shaitan deceives us about our intentions as well. It reminds me of a story that I read in the books many years ago, that this very pious man used to come to the masjid for prayers, for Jama'ah. And he would always come and sit in the front row. And his place was fixed that everybody knew that so and so will come and he'll be here. And he'll be there all the time. But one day, he came late. He came late to the masjid. And he sat in the back somewhere and he said, what would people think? I'm not in the first row. What would people think? And all of a sudden it dawned on him, was it for the people that you were doing it? Was it for people to see how pious and how good you are to want to be in the masjid first? Is that why what you did it for? Because if it was not, then it didn't matter whether you sat there in the first row. Intentions are very, very critical, crucial thing for us to be aware of. If I'm doing something good, what is my intention? What am I doing it for? And if intentions are not right, even the good deeds would end up being against you. You get no rewards for it. This is why it is said, Al-amalu bin-niyyah. Each person will be held accountable in 3 areas in his life. Number 1, whether he accepted or rejected the faith. Whether he accepted or rejected the faith. Number 2, the rights of each other that Allah has placed upon us. Huquq al-ibad. And number 3, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how we fulfill that. 3 sessions of the court for each person in those 3 areas. The accountability with those who rejected the faith, the kuffar, the mushrikeen, the murtadeen, will be done very harshly. And the accountability for those who were believers but sinners, Allah will be taking their accountability with kindness and mercy. Subhanallah. Once the Prophet ﷺ was sitting among the Sahaba. He smiled and he said, the meaning of which is, on the day of judgment, a person will argue before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He would say, oh Allah, you are just and you have promised justice. I'm innocent and I do not accept anybody's witness against me because they are not fair to me. They don't like me. I will not accept anybody's witness against me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command his body parts to give witness for him or against him. His hands, his feet, his tongue, his eyes, every body part will give witness either for him or against him. And obviously, for this person, the very fact that he's arguing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and trying to prove his innocence, every witness will be against him. And then he'll be cursing his own body parts. He'll be cursing his own body parts. How come you are giving witness against me? I was doing it. You were receiving pleasure from this as well. And the body parts will speak back to him and says, you used and abused us. And we did not have the power to stop you from abusing us. We did not have that power for you to abuse us against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today Allah has given us the opportunity and commanded us, and we can only speak the truth. Watch what we are using our hands and feet and our tongues and our eyes for. Every time we look at something haram and insist upon looking at it, these eyes will give witness. You cannot stop it. Every time we use these hands to hit someone, to do something haram with it, they will give witness. Every time we move these feet towards going to haram, these feet will give witness against us. At the same time, these body parts will also give witness for the good things that we did with them. Be mindful how we use these body parts, because these bodies and all the parts that these bodies have are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are supposed to be responsible for them. We are supposed to be responsible for the tongue and how we use it. Remember the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said, "Give me the guarantee that you would watch your tongue." Part of the hadith. Give me the guarantee that you will watch your tongue and you will be careful of watching your private parts, and I'll guarantee you Jannah. Well-known hadith. Now, if we are using this tongue to cursing people, can't talk without using an F word, can't talk without swearing, can't talk without all these ugly things that we speak from our mouth. These tongues will be witness for all of those things. At the same time, these tongues, when they keep reciting the zikrullah all the time, when you're walking, sitting, if you keep remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, 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 subhanallah, 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 then these tongues will also give witness for that as well. We need to be very careful of how we use our bodies and our body parts, because these are all accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would ask an hypocrite, did I not bless you with wealth, health, power, status, and a very good family? He would admit, yes, you did, indeed you did. Then Allah would ask him, were you not informed about this day of judgment? He said, Ya Allah, I was informed, I believed in it. I prayed with the people in the Jama'ah. I performed Hajj. I fasted. I did all these things. And in his mind, he would be thinking, I was in the masjid all the time. Who is going to give witness against me? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would seal his mouth. And his body parts would give witness against him. And they would say, yes, you were at the masjid. Yes, you prayed. Yes, you went for Hajj. Yes, you fasted. But behind the back, you loved non-believers. You were friends with the disbelievers more than with Muslims. You plotted against them behind them. You helped the non-Muslims against your own brothers. And you thought nobody knew about it? You thought you can get away from this? Today, if we look at ourselves, our young and old, may Allah forgive us all, often make statements such as, these non-believers are better than us. Am I right? Look at them, they don't do this, we do this. Look at them, they don't do this. Look at this, look at how good they are. This. We are so in love with their culture and their ways of doing that we are very quick to judge against our own people, ourselves. Yes, 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 yes. No doubt. We are not living our faith as we should. There's no doubt about it. And there are many, many ways in which the non-believers appear much better than us. But what we don't understand is, all these good things that you see the non-believers doing, what are they doing it for? What is their intention? What is their motive? What are they doing it for? And all the sins that we are committing, why are we committing it? Because we don't have all these good standards, or because we choose not to follow it? We have all these good standards. Many of our akhlaq and standards that are now we see in other cultures and communities came from us. They came from us, but we lost them and we don't understand it. Yes, we are sinners, no doubt about it. Yes, but we also know we are sinning. I'm sure that there will be very few Muslims out there, if any, who would do a sinful thing and not know that he's doing wrong. He would know I'm doing wrong. He would be doing it, but he would know I'm doing wrong. And the knowledge that I'm doing it wrong, Allah will give him the tawfiq to make tawbah because he realizes he's wrong. Then Allah will give him tawfiq to make tawbah. Those who appear so good and their intentions you don't know, and the other wrong things they don't know, there's no tawbah for them. There's no forgiveness for them. At the end, you still may die on Islam, on La ilaha illallah. They won't. Need to be careful about how we think of ourselves and how we think of those who are disbelievers. Another person will blame his friends and the shaitan for his choices and his deeds. Shaitan will say to him, don't blame me. The verse of the Quran. I had no control, no power over you. I just invited you to follow your desire. And I made ways for you to make it attractive. You chose to obey me. You chose to obey me. I did not have any power to force you to do it. Don't blame me today. I'm as afraid for my consequences as you are for yourself. What does that teach us? Let's not make excuses. Let us not make excuses because wallahi lazim, we always have a choice. Please understand. We always have a choice. You are with some bad company, okay? Your friends say, you know, everybody's doing it. What's wrong with you? It's not the big deal. And if you know it is wrong, you have a choice not to do it. You have a choice to say, sorry, can't do this. But if you don't make that choice, you can't blame your friends. Yes, peer pressure, I understand. I'm a psychologist. I know what peer pressure is. But even under the peer pressure, we have a choice. We have a choice. And it is the choice that we make and act upon it that will be held accountable for. When all hope will be lost, they would beg to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they would say, please give us another chance. Please send us back. This time we promise you we'll do better. But there will be no going back. And Allah says in the Quran, if they were given that choice, they would exactly do the same thing as they did before. One time, in one of these dars, many years ago, I asked a question to the people that were sitting. I asked them, if you had a choice to relive your life, would you take it? And one of the persons sitting right in front of me says, I will. And I said, and what guarantee you have you're going to do any better? What guarantee do you have that you're going to do better? Right now, what you've done, you're done. You can make tawbah for it. But your nafs is not going to go away from you. Shaitan is not going away from you. Days, every coming days is worse than going days. What guarantee do you have you're going to do any better? Be thankful and say, oh Allah, whatever my life might have, give me the rest of my life on Iman. And take me away as quickly as you can. because I don't know if I can do any better. Wallahi lazim. As many of us are sitting here, who can guarantee to himself that if I have another day that I would do better? We just can't do it. But they'll be begging at that time to send them back because they know what's coming. On that day, even the animals who had done wrong to each other, they will be compensated for. And after the animals have been compensated for, they will turn to dust because there was no other purpose for them. It was just giving them the justice. And at that time, these non-believers will say, وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. Alas, I wish I could just be turned to dust as well. La ilaha illallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that in the day of judgment, there'll be justice. He asked the question, who do you think is the poorest person on this earth? And obviously, Sahaba said that, we think people who don't have lots of money would be a poor person. And he said, on the day of judgment, the poorest of the person would be the one who will come with lots of good deeds, lots of nawafil, lots of Quran, lots of da'wah work, lots of good, but they would have fallen short on their obligations to everybody else, and they would have not fair to fulfill their obligations to the others. And these people will come to claim justice, and Allah will compensate for them. And in that day, the compensation will not be with money because there's been no money. The compensation will be with good and bad deeds. So to compensate for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take the good deeds of the accuser and give it to the claimant. And if all the good deeds were gone, to make them happy, they will take their sins and put upon the accuser. And with all their good deeds, they would end up in the hellfire. Brothers, like I said, huquq al-ibad are very, very important. We need to always be conscious of how am I dealing with my wife, with my husband, with my children, with my friends, with my neighbors, with all the other obligations Allah has placed upon me. How am I dealing with it? Am I being fair? Am I being forgiving? Am I being patient with them? Or I just use my tongue and my hands to just slash out? How am I earning my living? Am I deceiving other people? Am I taking other people's rights? We have to be very mindful for this. Because if we are not, then all the good deeds we've been doing will not be of any use to us. The last of the accountability would be about the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us? There are two rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. Number one, to worship Him. And number two, to submit ourselves to His will. To submit ourselves to His will, meaning live our life according to His guidance. And the first question that will be asked about His rights is the salah, the obligatory prayers. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned that the person who passes through this first question about the salah, the rest will be easy. The rest will be easy. He mentioned in the hadith, the meaning of which is, the obligatory prayers are the key to paradise. The obligatory prayers are the key to paradise. These days, subhanallah, many people are not even cognizant and mindful of praying the 5 times salah. They will come for Jummah prayers, they'll come for Eid prayers, they'll come for Janazah prayers, but the 5-time daily prayers, we are not mindful. So if you and I have been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be mindful of 5-time prayers, we should not stop thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us that tawfiq. We should never stop thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this tawfiq to be praying 5 times a day. Like I mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be kind to people in that day. And if they have fulfilled their prayers, it is mentioned in one hadith, the meaning of which is that one person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cover him with the cover of his mercy so that nobody sees him. And Allah would remind him, you did this, you did that, and you did this, and you did that, and you did this, and you did that. And he would be saying, yes, yes, Ya Allah, I did it. Yes, Ya Allah, I did it. Yes, Ya Allah, I did it. And he would be thinking in his mind, I'm doomed. I am definitely doomed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his mercy would say, I hid your shortcomings from others when you were alive with my rahmah. I did not make everybody aware of all your shortcomings and sins when you were alive. Today in my mercy, I forgive you. Allahu Akbar. May you and I will be treated like this in the day of judgment. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covers us in his mercy and chooses to forgive us like he's forgiving us in this dunya. You know, we are all sinners. Wallahi al-azim, if my sins will become apparent on you, to you, you will not even want to spit on my face. Am I right or wrong about this? Because we're all sinners. We are no angels. But Allah's mercy, His satari, that He has hidden all of these shortcomings from other people. हमको जलील नहीं कर दिया अल्लाह ताला ने सबके सामने. ये बहुत बड़ी अल्लाह की रहमत है. क़यामत के रोज भी अल्लाह जलील करने से बचाए. The day of judgment, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cover us in His mercy and choose to forgive us. भाई ये बहुत बड़ी अल्लाह की रहमत है. La ilaha illallah. After the account has been taken from everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then erect the mizan, the scale to weigh the deeds. And inshallah we'll begin the next Saturday on the mizan and what happens after. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to be mindful, to keep preparing ourselves for that day. Because we will have to stand before Him. There's no way out of this. We have been informed. We have been told repeatedly. We have to be mindful. Please remind it to your children, your family members, your friends. Be mindful of that day that we will be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Yawm al-Jaza and would have to give account. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Subhana rabbil aliyyin ala al-bahab. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم رحيم تحب فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم توفنا مسلمين اللهم توفنا مسلمين، اللهم توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين غير خزايا ولا مفتونين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اغفر لأمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارحم أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم أصلح أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم تجاوز عن أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفرهم، اللهم انصرهم في كل مكان من كل سوء يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. وأنت المستعان ولك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. لا إله إلا الله.